Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Soapbox. I'm Alonzo Bowden, and I just tried to broadcast with Facebook, and once again, that technology's giving me a problem. What is it with Meta, Facebook, whatever they want to call it, making life difficult? Anyway, here we are. Going to open up the Soapbox in a few minutes. Waiting to see if a few more people log on. I believe I scheduled it. And let's see what we got. Hope you're having a good week or a good day or a good life wherever you are. And I got one today. Has anyone had their iPhone update? I have a scroll saying that Steve Jobs said it's better to be a pirate than to join the Navy. I don't know if Steve said that, but what do you think? Let me check in with my producer. See if they are coming today. I'll start in 1 second, just getting the producer. All right, that's enough of that. So here we are. Sorry, I'm laughing. I'm looking under my little avatar here. I have a crown next to me. I guess I am the king of Fireside, or maybe I'm the king of the soapbox. I'm the king of something. So right off the bat, I can tell you one of these things, and this is just a little annoyance. I don't know if you've had this problem. When you try to get on Facebook, it sends a message. You haven't logged on from this browser, even though it's the same iPad I've been using for at least a year. I don't know how long I've had this iPad. It says I haven't logged on before from this browser, and then it says use the code we have sent. And of course, they haven't sent a code. I don't have a code. There's no code on my phone. There's no code in my email. They just use the code that we thought we sent it. Maybe we didn't. I don't know what we're doing. So I won't be broadcasting to Facebook Live on this show for that reason. And then we had this problem before. We have to go in and do some settings changes. Now, let me talk about this Apple thing. So has anyone had this latest update on their iPhone, which was done automatically, by the way, done last night while I was sleeping? It's got this driving mode on it. So it's automatically shutting off my phone when I'm in the car. And it had a thing that I have to put in which contacts can contact me while I'm driving. And just to, I'm not a listen. I am not a conspiracy theorist guy. I don't think I'm a big deal. I don't think the government is out to get me. But this is an example of a corporation being an annoyance, okay? Yeah, I'm not supposed to use the phone when I drive, okay? But that still should be kind of up to me. And how do I know who's going to try to contact me when I'm driving? Like, I don't know. I don't know if somebody's going to reach out to me. So I don't know which contacts to put on that list. Is there a way to put all of them on there? I don't know. So I'm going to have to go through this new settings thing. And it's an annoyance because I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask for it. Excuse me, they previously had the do not disturb. What was wrong with that? That was good enough. If you didn't want your phone to ring or buzz or do whatever, you didn't want to be bothered, you just hit do not disturb. And for however long you had that on, your phone wouldn't disturb you. What part of that was giving people trouble? What part of that did people say, I need to take it a step farther. I need the phone to decide when I'm not going to be disturbed. I can't handle the pressure on my own. So up just got a note from my producer, and she said she doesn't think it ever actually streamed to Facebook. Even when I thought it was going, they were lying to me. Damn those Meta people. So anyway, I have to figure out this new update and what's going on. And it's not an update I asked for. And it doesn't make things better. I will bet you money. Okay, I'll absolutely bet there are people who are trying to figure out this update while they're driving. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Because if you didn't know this was going to happen and it just popped up on your phone the way it did on mine, now you're in the car saying, what do you mean I got to pick which contacts contact me while I'm driving? I'm driving now. Well, now I got to pick which contact, and so on and so on. And just annoyances, technological annoyances. Stop trying to think for me. This was a difference with Steve Jobs, okay? Now, Steve Jobs, like I said, it's scrolling across here saying it's better to be a pirate than join the Navy. And he may or may not have believed that. But I tell you this, back when Steve Jobs was alive, Apple was a much better company. And when they did updates and they changed phones or iPads or laptops or any Apple device, when they made a change, when he was alive, the change made it better. It wasn't a change for the sake of changing. It wasn't a change for the change made it better. And a couple of times when he missed, he undid it. They were like, no, okay, that's not a good idea. Let's do something different. There wasn't change for the sake of change, which seems to happen now with Apple products, and somewhat annoying. Not annoying enough for me to get an Android, but still somewhat annoying. Here's another one we encountered. Here's another one we encountered today. So this morning, I'm in Phoenix, by the way, city that I absolutely love. I love Phoenix, Scottsdale. I don't know if you've ever been to this area. I just like it. I like the hot weather. It's new. It's not as crowded as LA. I always like being here. The Phoenix Suns are going to destroy the Clippers in the playoffs if they meet. Not crazy about that, but you take the good with the bad. Anyway, we're on the freeway here, and the electronic signs that they can send messages. They're sending messages like they have a message, look up, don't look down at your phone. They had another message saying happy Easter weekend. You know what message they didn't have? That the exit ramp was closed. The exit ramp that we were going to use. How many times have you encountered this where you're driving, right? And then you get to the exit you want, and that exit is closed for construction or something. And I've always said this, why didn't you notify me before I got there? Notify me before the prior exit so I can get on. Don't let me drive to where I want to get off the highway or freeway or whatever, and then find out it's closed. Then I got to go past where I want to go and turn around and come back. No, use your fancy electronic sign to let me know that the exit's closed before I get there. Listen, I appreciate Happy Easter. Very nice of you. I appreciate it. But maybe that's not the message I needed as I was headed to a ramp that was closed. Okay, just putting it out there. That's what kind of soapbox this is this week. It's minor annoyances. I'm not going in on the big ones. They, there's always big ones. There's a little immigration thing going on right now that I'm going to talk about on my podcast. Who's Paying Attention, which can be seen as part of the All Things Comedy Network or anywhere you get your podcasts. Anyway, commercial's over. I'm going to go over, I'm going to talk about the immigration beef I have when I get over there. But here on the soapbox, I'm up here talking about tech and tech advances and unwanted tech advances. Now, here's another thing I heard about. I don't know if this qualifies as technology or an app, but it struck me as funny because it's so horribly creepy. I see that the women in my audience right now, ladies, I don't know how you put up with us men. We can be horrible. So I heard this and I had to laugh because the level of creativity in the creepy is funny to me. There's an app called Bumble, if you're familiar with it. It's a dating app, and it was supposed to be the different one where women choose what men they want to talk to. That way, I guess women don't get bombarded with a bunch of guys swiping right or whatever. I'm not on dating apps, so I can't say exact, but I know women get tired of the unsolicited annoyance of being on these. So they came up with Bumble, and Bumble allows the women to choose what man they wanted to talk to, chat with, whatever. Well, now I hear there are men using the pronoun they on Bumble so that, quote, they can initiate the conversations and still hassle women. The level of creepy fascinates me. And here's the thing. Do you think that's going to work if a woman is on a dating site specifically so that women can make a choice? And now you as a man go on there and you use a false pronoun in order to gain access to her. Do you think she's going to talk to you? Do you think that's going to make you better? I don't think so. I don't think so. If I were a woman, I'd get on the soapbox and complain about them on Bumble. Hint, hint. So that's about it. Don't worry. A few other things will pop up in my mind and come to me in the course of doing this show. But as I always say, it's your soapbox, people. You're here. I have three women here, and I love the face palm, Linda. Yes, this is a face palm moment. Guys using they on Bumble is definitely a face palm moment. It is amazing the level to which guys will go to be creepy and annoying. So bless you, ladies, for putting up with it. So that's it. That's my rants. What do you got? You got anything you want to jump in? Jump in here. Help me out. Complain about something. There you go, Linda. You are invited to video. As always, you can or not. It's up to you.
Oh, sure. What the heck? I was just the comment about Bumble. I mean, if you're going to be on dating apps, I guess that's fair dues. But it's on LinkedIn, where it's like, okay, what part of me being on a professional site did you think was an open invitation for you to creep me out? And it's like, oh, hi, nice picture. Not anyway. It's just a bit. It's a bit much. Where everything is a dating site to some folks. So anyway.
Yeah. Listen, you're right. And I haven't got it much on LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn profile, but I don't use it much because it's not, my business isn't that type of business.
Yeah.
But I get them occasionally there. I've been getting a lot more of them on Instagram. I had a video. So I've done this series of videos with a club called Helium Comedy Club. And what they did, which I think is a great idea, they recorded a set rather than release it as a special. They're releasing it in 2 and 3 minute clips on everything, on Instagram, right, on YouTube. I'm a TikToker now, never a TikToker, but now I'm on TikTok. So anyway, as a result of these videos, one in particular that went viral, I've been getting hit on Instagram, and it's flattering, but it is kind of weird. And then you get the ones that are just,
Alonzo, you're just asking for it, man.
well, listen, it's work. It's work, just you put yourself out there on social media, and my business is
Yeah,
part of the job.
yeah,
Part of me, I guess, is a bit flattered, but whenever it happens, I just think, okay, if it's happening to me, any woman out there, it's happening
yeah,
1,000 times more. Right,
yeah,
right. Because that, now I get, I've been, listen, for a long time, even before the war, they were trying to get me to marry a Russian girl. I've been getting those for years. I don't know how they got my email, but yeah, that
yeah.
happens periodically. But but these are, it's kind of, it's an annoyance. But I know with women it's worse because guys can be much more aggressive and much more creepy. So I wish you luck in dealing with it.
Yeah, well, and it's the fake profiles and the whole deal. I mean, it's just yeah, it's just gross.
My
That's for
brother and I have had a saying for most of our lives. When you see stuff like that, you're like, if only they use their powers for good.
mm,
I mean, because that's the work, right? Okay, now I have to set up fake profiles, and I have to start accounts, and I have to send these emails or set up the automatic this, that, the other. It's like, well, imagine if you put the same effort into something productive. it's the same amount of work. It's the same number of keystrokes if you want to get down to it. Put up something constructive. Start a company. If you have that kind of know-how in social media, start a business and help people promote. You're going on LinkedIn. Hey, here's an idea. Tell them you know how to promote their business digitally and maybe create some business rather than create an entire digital profile to annoy women on LinkedIn. It's the same effort. It's the same.
I mean, I guess it's seen as and yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. But I guess it's a numbers game, right? It's like somebody's going to fall for it. Somebody's going
I
to.
don't think so. I don't think, and this is what I'll equate it to, Linda. This is what I'll equate it to. Guys, and it's always 3 or 4 guys in a car driving down the street, yelling at women on the sidewalk. Linda, not once has a woman who is not a sex worker, not once
Yeah,
has a woman who's not professional stopped and said, "What? You want me to? Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm going to get in the car. I've been waiting for that." Guys have been
yeah,
trying it since they invented cars, and it's never worked. It's never worked. But that doesn't stop them. They're still doing it.
yeah.
If I yell incoherently, she will stop what she's doing and say, "Wow,
That's so hot.
there's
That's
only
so hot.
4 guys in the van. What could go wrong?" So, so Linda, I think that's a numbers game that still hasn't paid off. No,
You're 100% right. 100% right.
on occasion, and I read this once in L.A. This happened in Hollywood. This is maybe 10 years ago, and I felt bad, but I was also, I don't know, in a way fascinated. Where a woman got in a van with this guy, he claimed to be a photographer, and he took her up somewhere, in the hills, and tragically he killed her. But it's like you can't still get in a van in Hollywood because a guy has a nice camera and says he's a photographer. You know what I mean? Like at this point, how do you believe that? And I'm not trying to blame the victim. I'm just saying that it's so unbelievable that that still works, and yet it still does, and they're still like trafficking women, picking them up. I mean, this is L.A. They catch them literally getting off the bus, and I'm a producer, and I'm going to make you a star, and
Yeah,
unfortunately, these young girls still, the dream is so strong that they still fall for this, which is tragic. But
yeah.
yeah, Linda, if someone's offering you that kind of job on LinkedIn, that's not a job. So you behave yourself. All right. You
Yeah.
don't
Fair
call me
enough.
back. All right.
All right. Peace out.
Thank you for dropping in the soapbox. Uh, Hello, Leah. I will invite you to video. As always, it's up to you. And jump in.
Hi, everybody. First time on the soapbox. And I have to admit, I am one of those guilty ones who has engaged someone on Instagram, but hopefully it wasn't creepy. In any case, my rant is I work for a child welfare agency. I'm a supervisor, and my responsibility is to read all of the calls that come in to determine if we need to go and protect a child. And you would be amazed at how many of these calls are really just custody related. Mom calling on dad, dad calling on mom, and there is zero child abuse going on. Is I just don't like that he didn't drop the kid off at this time, or I didn't like that she didn't feed the kid the nutritious food that I wanted them to have. And it literally takes up about 60% of our day just basically vetting out those nonsense calls when our resources, time, and workers can be used for good, for really going out there and protecting. And so I just, if the relationship didn't work, it didn't work. Move on. You guys picked each other, you had your children together, and figure out what's in the best interest of the children. But literally just playing this game because you don't like the new girlfriend or you don't like that he got remarried is just really asinine to me. So that's basically my rant because it's a day to day thing for me. And if anybody in this room, if your relationship's not working out, just wish it well and move on. But quit the shenanigans. It is ridiculous.
Leah, thank you. I wish you the best of luck with the work you do. That's obviously a tough job trying to protect children from abusive situations. This is an example of privilege, right? This is like the Karen thing where people think a government agency or a service being provided is their own personal security service to be used for their own needs. And this is what I think you should do. This should be the solution. This would solve this problem. You get sent a bill. You get sent a bill. If they call you because, like you said, the kid wasn't, isn't going to the, I don't know, the playground you want him to go to, or you're battling custody or battling, the other parent gave the kid ice cream and you don't want it, and you call an agency and try to get them to work on it, they then be like, okay, well, you wasted an hour of our time. That's $200 or whatever, not charge people when it's a legitimate complaint, a legitimate concern for child safety. But when you call with nonsense, you're getting a bill for wasting our time. That I think that would cut that down because, like I say, this is like Karen calling the police, on black people having a picnic in the park. And like I say, that this is my problem with Karen. Karen never uses her powers for good. Okay, back when we had to wear masks, Karen didn't call about the unmasked people. When you walk the dog, Karen's never there for the people who don't clean up after their dog. Come on, Karen, make that call. No, Karen never makes that call. But these people, they should be billed for wasting your agency's time. That would watch those calls drop off if they have to pay $200-300 every time they call you with nonsense. As far as talking to people on Instagram and stuff like that, you in particular, since you deal with the public and deal with these things, I'm sure you're quite sensitive as to how to do it. So, Leah, I doubt if you're a creepy person. I doubt if you're a creeper. You're just, a person. And people do meet online. I mean, people meet online through all kind of apps and stuff like that. So that's okay. Just try to avoid creepy. Fortunately, there aren't as many creepy women as men, although there are some, and I have encountered that, and it's really, eesh, not good. Not good.
Right. Well, thanks for the
Thank
time.
you.
Keep doing what you're doing.
I'm going to try.
All
Thank
right.
you. Fabish, how are you? Let me give
Can
you
you hear
the
me?
opportunity to video. It's up to you. And thank you.
I'll just do the audio if that's okay.
Sure, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. This is my third soapbox, and I'm really enjoying it. I think it was a great idea. So, my rant is actually pretty simple. If that's it's about movies and stuff. I'm a huge fan of movies, and TV shows and all that. And of late, I've kind of been picking up on this. Like like Netflix is kind of flooded with movies that maybe are not great or stuff like that. And I'm one of those people that never really like sees quality in a movie until it's either like too late. I'm like, oh, this movie's not that great, or like a show, because I just watch whatever is on the screen. But what pisses me off the most is when they start a really good show, right? And I go like 2 seasons in, and then you hear that, oh yeah, they canceled that. I don't know why, but like it almost always happens with the ones I choose. Like I pick a show, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to follow this one, and I devote my time to it, and then like at the end, you're like, oh, you read somewhere that they decided that they did not think this was good enough, and so they just decide to cancel, which I understand it has budget and stuff, but I just feel like I always tell my friends that if there's anybody that I would just like freely prosecute in a court of law, it would be like some of these movie producers. Because I feel like some of them just don't, give people justice. Like, okay, one thing that I don't know if you're like this, but I really love like long form TV shows that go like 6 or 7 seasons. And I feel like I've always felt like I'm always disappointed at the end. For example, Game of Thrones, which I know so many people love, right? I mean, the way those people ended that thing, oh my goodness. It almost feels like the producer or whoever wrote the last episode or the last scenes were just like so mad with the world, and they decided, all right, you know what, we're gonna make it the worst, like I mean, I'm like, please give us something to go off with, like something happy. Now I've been watching Peaky Blinders, which just ended, and it's almost like the same thing happens. So I think like for me, like with movies, I'm so scared to even start watching like a new series because I'm always afraid that the producers are gonna mess it up or it's going to be cancelled halfway. And speaking of, before I finish, when you guys are talking about like the dating online stuff, it reminded me. I watched this show on Netflix called Tinder Swindler, and let me tell you something. I come from Kenya, right? And I can promise you one thing: no Kenyan lady will ever fall for that. I just feel like they have. I think like because like people here are raised in such hardship, like they will never just be like, if somebody, like, I mean, even my mom, sometimes I'm like, we have this mobile money sending system called M-Pesa, and it's a legit system, but sometimes I'll tell her, hey, could you just send me the money through M-Pesa, and she doesn't even trust that, leave alone even having a credit card. And so when I was watching that, I felt so bad because I'm like, these ladies look like, they're doing their job. If you've seen the show, like, they seem like, like good people, but somehow they fall for this guy. And I really feel bad for the people who genuinely want to find other people, like, to date. So this one guy has messed it up for all of them because after watching that show, if I'm a lady, I'm not going to Tinder at all. So yeah, that's really my rant for today.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, so I'll give you my opinion on that because I like what you said. But I also, there's another side to that. So yeah, some shows are great and you want them to keep going and they end them. And you happen to have good taste in television, right? Game of Thrones, everyone said that last season, they went beyond the books. That's what it was. It was like the books, you should have ended it because there was no more good ideas. And you tried to stretch it out to grab money and you came up with a horrible ending. Peaky Blinders is a great series. I don't know if you've finished it, so I'm not going to comment. I will just tell you that it's a great series. And the thing about gangster shows, there's only two ways to end a gangster show, right? Either they get killed or they go legitimate. It has to end at some point, but that was a great show. Um, I think what happens with some shows, they run out of ideas and they have to keep it going. I'll give you an example. There was a show called Sons of Anarchy. And when that show started, it was basically the Sopranos on motorcycles. It was a great show. It was about this motorcycle gang, and they were, they also were dope dealers, and it was like the Sopranos. It was like on one side you have the legitimate life and family and this and that, and on the other side there's criminal stuff going on. Great show. After about 4 seasons, I think they ran out of ideas and everyone just started killing each other. And it was in a small town in California. And it's like, at some point, someone's going to notice there's a lot of murders in this small town. Like, you can't have 42 unsolved murders in this little town with no one noticed. And it became kind of ridiculous. And the show eventually ended. It's got a spin-off now called The Mayans, which isn't as good. But that happens, I think, sometimes. And then sometimes you have, Sopranos had a bad ending. Nobody knows what that meant. Then you have shows that ended. I don't know if you're familiar with a show called The Wire. If you haven't watched The Wire, watch it. I think the debate seems to be what's the greatest series on TV. The Wire or Breaking Bad. That's how good it was. Phenomenal show. And the creator of The Wire was at the White House for some event with Barack Obama, and they said that Barack Obama asked him, for another season, and he said, "Okay, legalize marijuana, and I'll write another season." And it didn't happen, but it's a great story. There are other series that I'll give you. Top Boy is a great series. There's a
I've
series
seen that.
on now called Snowfall, which is very good. What is it about drug dealers that they make compelling TV shows? I don't know, but they do some great TV shows built around drug dealers. Don't know what that's about. But
I think
Snowfall is something good to check out. I think they run out of ideas. That's my theory. And they try to stretch extra seasons. Like, not every show is worth the extra seasons. Sometimes they run out of ideas. So this is what happens. Or you can be like The Simpsons, which is, I think, 28 or 29 years, longest running show on TV, and still pretty damn good. Thank you, Fabish. Thanks for dropping in. I got Chris waiting to get in the soapbox. Chris, you're in. I will, let's see. You've muted yourself somehow.
Yeah, that's okay. I was waiting for you to.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've now been invited to video. Climb up on the soapbox.
Yeah, we'll skip the video part. I'm too handsome.
All good.
Oh, that's not my rant.
All right. Thank you, Chris, and we'll see you next week.
All right, here's my rant, by the way. I'm making homemade applesauce, so I'll make this brief. I just did my taxes. You know those things, the taxes, the IRS. Anyway, I just did that, and I do it the old-fashioned way. I still figure it out on paper, and I still do it myself, and I still mail it in. So this year I owed some taxes, and thankfully it wasn't a lot. But as I was looking at the instructions on how to mail your payment, because I'm going to write them a check, it said in the tax form instructions, the IRS will not accept checks in excess of $1 million. How dare they say that I can't write a check to them for $1 million? The audacity of an organization refusing my money over $1 million in the form of a check. That is my rant, sir. I find it outrageous, egregious, and I think I might have mispronounced the last word. What do you think about that?
Well, Chris, I'm going to tell you what the problem is. If you owe taxes in excess of $1 million, that means you probably have a few hundred million or maybe even a billionaire. And they figure if you're a billionaire and you're dumb enough to be paying taxes, that check ain't going to be any good. What is wrong with you, Chris? What is wrong that you haven't made $300 or $400 billion so you pay zero taxes? What's wrong with you? Don't you know that you look at you with your I fill out a tax form and send money in. Have you not heard of Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or anybody else who is worth more than used to be a small, now a medium country that pays zero tax? No, they're not going to take a check over $1 million. That means that you're rich and not smart enough to not pay them. They're like, what the hell are you doing paying us with your no? You should screw up the entire system. and send them a check for $1,001,001. Just send them that check and watch the whole system come crumble. Oh my gosh, a rich person paid their taxes. We don't know what to do.
That's the best advice I've gotten. I was going to send them 2 checks because you're allowed to break it up into smaller checks. So I was going to send them 1 check for $999,999, and then one for a dollar or a penny. But I think yours is better. Your idea is better. A million
Okay.
and
1,000,001. And then if they try to cash it, you're like, hey, you said you weren't going to do that.
yeah, it's like let me show you the reverse or the opposite of that. When I owe money to corporations or businesses, when I fall behind and I get turned over to credit agencies, collection agencies, and get those nightly phone calls, I would send them checks for what I had. If I had $1, I'd send them $1. If I had 20, I'd send them 20. If I had 50, whatever. I actually had some corporations back in the olden days return my checks to me, return the $5 toward the bill and say, we will not accept that, it's not enough. And so when they called back, I said, why did you refuse my payment toward my bill? They said, because that's not enough. I said, so I have in my hand a letter from you saying you will not accept money from me. I'll see you in court. This is Exhibit A.
Well, and listen, I've been there long ago. I went through a bankruptcy, and what I found out was they don't want you to pay it because then they can write it off. They don't want you to pay it. If you owe, some credit card company or something like that, thousands of dollars, they'd rather write it off than have you pay them $50 a month for 10 years. That is how they do business. So yeah, they will turn down your money.
Wow. This
Yeah.
has been enlightening, man. I am so glad I paused in the applesauce. I think I mispronounced that word. The applesauce making process. I'm so glad I paused and came to you to rant and get wisdom. Let me conclude with this. This is a message for Elon Musk if he's listening to this show later on. Elon, if you toss in an edit feature on Twitter, we got a done deal, buddy. All right.
Yeah, there was an explanation why they don't have edit, but I don't remember what it is. But I did hear something about why they don't want to edit. They'd rather you just take it down. But I can't remember. Yeah, it is disturbing. But we don't want Elon Musk to buy Twitter because anything you think is bad about Twitter now will be worse when it's owned by a rich egomaniac. Where will
Well,
black people go? Black Twitter will become a real thing if he buys it.
Well, I can only say from my Twitter experience, when it was 120 characters and then they boosted it to 240 characters, I am not any smarter at twice the stupidity. Thank you very much for your help today. Have a great
Take care, Chris. Thanks for dropping in. Always happy to have you up on the soapbox. What do you think, people? Should these super billionaires be allowed to buy up everything? I guess you can't stop people from buying things in a free society, but the government should have some, I hate using this word, but some control, some ability to regulate the amount of power anyone has. And that applies to the current people who run, Facebook and Google and Twitter and any of these other social media search engines, ISPs. The government should be able to regulate them and what they do, but not regulation towards freedom, regulation towards, I guess, maintaining freedom. With the and still be, and also under that same rule, be allowed to stop hate speech or monitor terrorist organizations, etc. Did you notice something about the shooting in the New York subway? And again, I don't know how much news you follow. What was funny to me was when it first happened, and when I say funny, nothing's funny about the shooting. That's not what I'm saying. It's the media coverage. When it first happened, one of the things they said is this is not a terrorist act. And then they arrested the guy and charged him with terrorism. That was weird to me. And then Fox News being somewhat orgasmic over the fact the shooter was black. Fox News had this whole thing that if the shooter was white, they'd cover it, blah 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 blah, and this and that, and then they found out the shooter was black, and now it's the big story on Fox News. It's really a shame. It's really a shame, but they are they're consistent. If nothing else, they are true to the brand. Wow, two mass shootings in a 7 day period. Remarkably, no one, and I don't know how no one got killed in Brooklyn. Shooting 33 shots in a closed subway car and no one dies is absolutely miraculous. Another beautiful thing that corporations did, and this was interesting, and to their credit, they did return the money. But right after the shooting, Uber and Lyft were charging surge prices to get away from that area. And some people are like, well, they should because their drivers are brave enough to go there. That money ain't going to the drivers. Stop cashing in. But to their credit, Uber and Lyft gave back all the money that they charged people to get out of the area because the subways weren't running. After the shooting, subways weren't running. So that was interesting. But the Fox News thing, changing the coverage when they found out the shooter was black, was kind of sad, funny, and Fox Newsy. Is that a thing? Fox Newsy? How was the coverage on that? It was kind of Fox Newsy. It was CNN-ish. I'm doing a thing. I'm on video a ton now. Rebel HQ through the TYT, the Young Turks Network. And what they do is they send me these stories and I do little 5-minute commentary videos on the stories. And some of the stories to me are non-stories. Have you heard about this thing with Jen Psaki? Jen Psaki is Biden's press secretary. She is nothing short of brilliant. She handles difficult questions. She handles stupid questions. She does her job incredibly well. And now she's going to go into a private gig with MSNBC. And they're ranting about it on CNN, saying you shouldn't be allowed to. Why shouldn't she be allowed to do that? They're like, she should go into private industry. I'm like, what industry should she go into? Her job has been to answer questions and deal with the press. And now she's going to move over and be a reporter. That is the same industry. Sometimes it is annoying when CNN and Fox and any of these major news outlets try to create a story where there's nothing. Here's another story I got on them about that's not a story. Donald Trump Jr. sends some text to I forget his name, but the White House chief of staff over the flipping the election results and strategies to ignore the results of the election. And they're talking about, it's not Donald Trump Jr.'s idea. Okay, we can't look at Donald Trump Jr. and say, oh, this cokehead knucklehead is talking again, and now suddenly put him behind a plot to overthrow the election like he had the idea. I mean, this plot, it was given legal strategies and how to do it like, oh yeah, that was his idea. No, you can't say that Donald Trump Jr. is biting his lip and slurring his words and he's in a bunker talking nonsense and then suddenly say, oh, this is the mastermind behind trying to overthrow the election. No, he's still a Nimrod. And that was a non-story. I like when you guys laugh. It's encouraging. So we got about 2 more minutes left. Anybody jumping in? Anybody been bothered by anything? Or maybe a compliment. Maybe throw us off with a compliment on the soapbox. Ray, I don't even know what your emoji's saying. I don't know if I'm making you sick or what's going on, but I like it. I'm not sure what that comment. I haven't seen that one before. What is the? All right. Isidro, welcome. I will invite you to video. Whether or not you use it is up to you.
Hola, Alonso. Nice to see you.
You
Love
too,
your
buddy.
show.
How you doing?
Doing well. Thank you. Thank you very much. I know we have a little bit of time, but did we talk about the truckers in Texas?
No, but I read that story
It,
about.
yeah. So
No, I was just going to bring anybody up to date. So apparently, the governor is having the trucks that come into Texas from Mexico inspected in order to slow down the commerce, to keep inflation high, to help Republicans come the midterm elections. That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, and the
Mhm.
detail in that is that these trucks are passing federal inspections at the border,
Right.
and then they're being stopped at the state. And in some cases, they've been waiting for 14, 15 hours. And I'm just wondering, where's my boy Newsom? Why does he say if you're gonna be stuck on the line for 14 hours, why don't you drive through Mexico? Through Baja California and into California and keep that going. I'm just, my boy Newsom is, they're going to be waiting for a long time. It takes about 10 hours, 15 hours to drive that direction. It's a lot more gas, I understand, more time, but these guys. And the other thing, well, just real quick, why doesn't Mexico shut the border from the other side coming in then?
Well, I'll tell you, this is what I think. As far as telling them to come to California, that's really not a governor's place. I'll tell you who's wrong on this. The one who's wrong on this and the one who should be cracked down on is Abbott in Texas, because what you're doing now is you're trying to use state authority to supersede federal authority. And that's backwards. That's not how it works. Now, trying to tell private companies, hey, drive to California. It's a lot more money because it's not just driving the truck to California. It's also now you have to have distribution from California throughout the whole country. And these are huge truck depots that are set up for this. And one of the reasons they use Texas is because being in the middle of the country, it's easier to get everywhere. Like I have a friend, he moved to Austin. He said, I can fly anywhere in the country from Austin in 3 hours. You see, so there's more to it than that. I understand what you're saying, but this isn't a Newsom thing. This isn't an offer to use California instead, because logistically, it wouldn't work. Because if your stuff is supposed to go to a big depot in Texas and then from Texas go to, Illinois or Tennessee or something, now you have to go to California. California depots are full with all the ships coming in. We've got that problem. We have all the stuff getting off boats, and that stuff is backed up. So now if you bring in trucks, they don't have the logistics and the depots to do it. So listen, there's a lot of things Newsom could be doing better, but I'm going to give him a pass on this one. This is one where, okay, let's flip it. All right, let's flip it. Republican president, Republican Congress, a Democratic governor stops commerce from coming in. How long do you think that would last before the federal government got involved? How many minutes before the federal government came down there and said, what the hell is, you understand?
Yeah. Faster than they could storm a Capitol, I'll tell you that.
This is where the Democrats blow it. This should not be allowed to be done. And there should be federal pressure, and there should also be, everyone should know about this. Everyone should know, hey, the reason your prices are so high is because the governor of Texas isn't letting your trucks in, right? That should be one thing. But also the power of the federal government. Listen, the federal government supersedes state governments, and the federal government has the power here. Once you pass a federal inspection, there's no stopping for a state inspection. It doesn't work that way. It should be the federal government should bring down the pressure on this one. That's what's.
I have one small request, Alonzo. You have a bigger audience than I do. I only have 12 followers, so I need a little hand on this. We're approaching a very important day in American history, or a commemorative day. It's called Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.
I want to name it Cinco de Gringo. Because it really is a holiday for my gabacho brothers and sisters, because they put on a mustache, they put on a sombrero to symbolize, hey, this is what a Mexican looks like. Question to you is, would putting on a mustache and a sombrero, donning that, especially if you're a female, to me, that's the same as blackface. What would you say about
it? It is. There's a lot of it that is insulting cultural appropriation. Now, and listen, Cinco de Mayo, just like St. Patrick's Day, it's become a drinking holiday, is what it has. It's an excuse to party and drink. You're right. The caricature of the Mexican people is an insult. Isidro, this is how we stop it. If you want to dress like, quote, a Mexican, you have to leave the country. We got to take you to the border and throw you out. You got to have the full experience, right?
I love that.
So you
Like
got to
the
go.
Canadian kids that were stuck in Cancun when they flew. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. See, this
You
is
know
why
who handled that? You know who handled that well? Canada. Canada was like, okay, you want to be idiots? You can't come back. You can't get on a plane. That's a rant for another show. But if you want to be an idiot in the air, that no-fly list should apply to all airlines. You don't get to fly any of them. So yeah,
So
you're right about
help us
Cinco de
spread.
Mayo. It's
Let's spread.
insulting
Let's give
cultural
to them.
appropriation. But I will say that the marketing of that holiday is purely, hey, here's another reason to get drunk. So
Cinco de Gringo. I think it could take off. Should we patent? Hey, thank you for letting me have a quick second here, Alonzo.
thanks for dropping in, my friend. And thank you to everyone who has joined the Soapbox today. We will be back next week. Next week, I'm going to be coming to you live from New York because I'm back to work, people, and I'm traveling. AlonzoBowden.com to see where I'm going to be. I look forward to it. I wish you a great week, and I hope